Okay, so first of all, I'm Claudio Rodrigues, and today we're going to be talking about RDS 2012. I'm not sure like how much every single person knows about RDS, but I will assume you know nothing, and then we're going to go from there. Okay? Sounds cool? Okay, awesome. And first, a reminder that Gabe asked me, there is the Geek Out competition. Are you guys aware of that? So there is a quiz, BriForum.com/quiz.
Yep.
So just make sure you go there if you want to compete. If you don't know, I won that competition 3 years in a row. Then Brian decided to kick me out and not allow me to play again. Okay.
There's 3 Xboxes, I think you won, or PlayStation 3, right?
Yes. So I have a cluster of PlayStations and Xboxes thanks to Brian. And some people thought I was doing nuclear research at home, but that's not the case. I was just playing games. So then they decided, okay, Claudio, you can't play anymore. Too bad. You know? So life goes on. So you're not going to have a chance to compete against me.
You do well this year.
I'm pretty sure, yes. That's why I won 3 years in a row. No shit, I'm gonna do well today. Fuck. Okay, let's get the session going. Okay, the name of the session is RDS 2012 from zero to hero. Why that name? Because again, we are gonna assume that you know nothing. We are gonna start with nothing. And the plan is at the end of the session, we are gonna be doing this live. We should have a fully functional RDS 2012 environment up and running, okay? So here under the table I have a Mac Mini running VMware ESXi. That's where all my VMs are. They have nothing. I'll show to you they have nothing, so you don't think I'm lying. And then we're gonna get everything up and running, okay? And then we're gonna do some comparisons how RDS stacks up to Citrix, XenApp. And if you need to contact me, feel free to email me at any time, Twitter, whatever works for you. And the plan is you're going to see everything is based on scripts. I'll make that available to you guys. So I don't have the URL right now for the script, but you know, you can check on Brian Madden, or you can just email me, and then I'll give you guys the URL. Or if you read my blog.wtslabs.com, it's going to be posted there as well. So then you can download the script. Sounds good? This is the right session while you're here? Okay. So let's go. Let's get going. So the agenda for today. First of all, a quick overview on the components of RDS 2012. And just one clarification. As you know, RDS has 2 different tracks. One is for VDI-based stuff. The other one is for traditional, as I call, server-based computing. That is the traditional terminal server. So that's what we are going to be covering here, the terminal server. A lot of this stuff here applies to the VDI one, but again, I don't like VDI, so that's why I talk about SBC. Okay? Oh, I sort of like VDI. Okay, let's see. Then we're going to cover the deployment types, what Microsoft introduced with RDS 2012. Next one, we're going to do it. As I said, the plan is we're going to run everything live, and we're going to see everything happening. And then I'll test to make sure it works. It should work. And I'll tell you certain things I haven't tested yet. So I'm pretty sure they are going to work today, because they never failed, you know, so we should be fine. And I'll mention a couple of the snags along the way that you're going to see when you do RDS, due to the thing, like to the way Microsoft implemented certain things on RDS 2012. You're going to face some issues, and I'll explain what the issues are and how you overcome these issues. And as I said, we're going to do a quick comparison between RDS 2012 and XenApp. What I miss, where should I not use Microsoft, where I should go for Citrix, and so on. and then, you know, our conclusion. And hopefully we're going to have some time for questions and answers. Sounds good? Cool. So the components. The first one, based on any terminal server or VDI deployment with or without Citrix, is our RD licensing. So RDS requires a licensing server up and running and activated at all times, okay? And that leads us to the following thing. How many of you are Citrix, Citrix people? Okay, good. So you know if the Citrix licensing server goes down the drain, you are sort of okay for up to 30 days, right? Okay? Of course, there are some little details. For example, if you are doing PVS, depending on what you are writing to the write cache, if you don't change certain things, you may be screwed, meaning the 30 days don't apply. You are probably aware of that. But if you do everything by the book and take care of everything, if the licensing server is down, you are good. The problem is Citrix relies also on RD licensing. And if this guy is down, you are screwed right away. There is no grace. There is no 30-second grace. So here the deal is, what can you do to avoid the issue? Normally, I just tell people deploy 2 licensed servers because you can point your servers to 2 different licensed servers. And then if you want to be legal, what I don't care much, you simply split the licenses, okay? You can call Microsoft and tell them, oh, I have 1,000 RDS licenses. I want 5 here, 500 here, 500 there, and you do it. I just call them and tell my license server is dead, I need another 1,000 licenses. And they give me 1,000 licenses again, okay? That's the easiest. Well, if they are done with their licensing, I don't, I shouldn't pay the price for that. That's why I deploy the same license server twice with all the licenses. And then you are covered regardless. So that's how you overcome the problem with licensing. And again, this guy must be up and running all the time. If this is not up and running, people will get denied access to the environment, okay? And this is backwards compatible, meaning if you run RDS whatever version, your licensing server has to be whatever version you're running. So if you go to 2012, you cannot use your 2008 RDS licensing. You must go 2012. Just make sure they are on the same release. That's all that you need to be aware of. Next component, the RDS RD Web Access. Just a web interface, a website where users, for example, can go. They see a logon screen. They type their username and passwords, and then they see like all the applications or the desktops that you made available to them. That's the equivalent of the Citrix web interface or the Citrix storefront. Okay? Of course, the receiver for web on the storefront, just to be more accurate. Then we have our RD gateway. The RD gateway does the same as the Citrix Secure Gateway or the Citrix Access Gateway ICA proxying that runs, for example, on the NetScalers. So the idea here is users will connect to your RDS environment through your RD gateway. So they go HTTPS to the gateway, the connection is terminated at the gateway level, and then the connection from the gateway is established to the backend using RDP. Okay? So just to make the idea is first to make the protocol firewall friendly, because you may be working out some place where they block everything out except HTTPS. So if you have your RD gateway, then you can pass through the firewall restrictions because you are doing HTTPS. You reach the gateway, then from the gateway you reach your published application, your desktop, whatever it is. That clear? Okay. Then we have the RD connection broker. The connection broker, there is no equivalent per se, like within a Citrix infrastructure, because Citrix takes care of that in a different way. But the idea here is this guy will redirect your connection to the RDS session host server or to a VDI desktop, whatever it is, based on which server is least busy, if you have a disconnected session or not. So the idea is this guy sits in the middle waiting for connections. He receives a connection. He tries to find you somewhere if you are there. If you are not, it finds you a place to be. That's the bottom line with the connection broker. And then we have, on a traditional server-based computing, our terminal servers, our RD session hosts.
One connection broker, kind of similar to the XenApp.
No. The idea of the connection broker is really, well, with Citrix, what happens is, depending how you deploy, any XenApp server can find you, really, where you are connected. So here, this guy always is responsible for finding where you are. Okay? So before you could, for example, hit a terminal server directly, then the terminal server, if part of a connection broker farm, it would talk back to this guy to make sure, okay, can he stay here? And then the connection broker would say, yeah, he has no session, for example, or no, he has a session on another terminal server. And then you would get a session on the other terminal server. Okay? Yeah, I can mention that, yes, for sure. So this is really a man in the middle, I track where you are, really. That's the bottom line with the connection broker. And the session host, as I said, it's the guy that takes your session. That's where you are actually connected, running stuff. Running your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, whatever it is. So is that clear here? All the components, relatively simple. No rocket science. No? Good? Okay. So then we have, now this is new in 2012. Before you had to, basically find a way to set up the whole thing, manually, PowerShell, whatever it was. You could set up your roles, then glue everything together and, get the environment up and running. With 2012, Microsoft introduced, the deployment types. So you can just go on Server Manager, you follow nice wizards, and then you can do a quick start deployment. What is the quick start deployment? You just tell, I want to do quick. It asks you which server you want to be our quick start deployment server. You point to a server, and then the wizard takes care of installing everything on that server. So it's a single server installation. Okay? Should you do that in production? Yeah. If you want to keep your job, no. If you don't like your users, yes. So it depends. So I wouldn't do a single server. But again, for proof of concept, for doing a demo, or you are not into RDS 2012 yet and you want to show your boss something quickly, just go for the quick start, point to a machine, and everything is gonna happen. Boom, next, you are done. Depending on the hardware, this should take, I don't know, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour. If you have a Mac Mini like mine, maybe 2 hours. So, depends. Depends how cheap you are. The standard deployments that you can pick on the same wizard, it's pretty much the same in a way. It tries to automate as much as it can for you, but allows you to pick and choose which servers you want. So let's say you create a bunch of virtual machines, and you know you want to use these two for session host, this one for my gateway, my connection broker, blah, blah, blah. When you run this wizard, it's going to ask you, okay, what do you want for this role, which server? Then you say this. For that second role, oh, that. So after you answer all these questions, next, it then goes, deploys everything for you, glues all the pieces together, and boom, you have an RDS environment up and running. Okay? There's still some work to be done, and as you are going to see, there are some snags along the way that you are going to have to tackle manually, but it does a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Not like 2008 or 2 for sure. So let's take a look at, doing it. So how does it work? First of all, it's all PowerShell based. Okay? So a quick script. And as of today, what do I have? And I'll explain again what we have now and where we want to be for next week. Next week there is another conference in Copenhagen. Are you going? No? No? Okay. So I'll be at BriForum, another conference next week in Copenhagen, and then I'll have the script, a little bit better, and then we have BriForum again in Chicago, end of July, and it will be much improved by there. So what we have today is basically we can deploy a full RDS 2012 session host infrastructure just by running this one script. And what does it do? As of today, it deploys your connection broker, deploys your web access, your session host, 2 session hosts, deploys your gateway, deploys your licensing server. So where do I want to be with the script by July, end of July, August? The script will be able to deploy 2 connection brokers in high availability, and we'll do the network load balancing for you, so you don't need to do anything. The 2 will be up and running. They will have a single IP address. They will be taking connections. Web access, same thing. The script will deploy 2. We'll do the NLB automatically, everything up and running. We'll deploy as many session hosts as you want. So if you want a 2 or 5 or 10, whatever, the script will take how many you want, and we'll deploy as many. It will deploy at least 2 gateways. We'll do all the network load balancing for you. And we'll deploy the 2 license servers, and we'll have the terminal servers pointing to the 2 licensing servers.
Will it call Microsoft and cheat automatically?
Yes, make sure you hook up a phone to the server, and we'll even talk to Microsoft. So yes. So we'll do everything here. So a full environment up and running just by running this one script, and you walk away, it's done. Just in terms of how long this is taking as of today. Again, this is a Mac Mini. There is no SSD or anything like that. It's just a plain 1 terabyte drive. I have 16 gigs of RAM, and I'm running on ESX 5.1. Without vCenter running, because vCenter, of course I have it just to create the templates and so on, but then for the demo itself I shut down vCenter. I don't know why that shit needs 8 gigs of RAM, but that's what it takes. 8 gigs to run Linux. What the hell are you doing? But regardless, it takes 8 gigs of RAM. When you have 16, 8, it's a lot. So I shut down the vCenter after I have my VMs up and running. So now, when vCenter was up, it was taking 40 minutes. I shut down that shit, now it takes 27 minutes. So you see, vCenter is responsible for 13 minutes of extra time. So I don't like that. So right now, as I said, 27 minutes, give it or take, we are going to have our RDS environment up and running, all good.
Does your script only work with ESX?
No, the script actually works with anything. And that's a good question. That's what is coming next on the script. The next step is to tie into the hypervisor. So then you will be able to say, I have this one template that has Windows 2012, and then the script will talk to the hypervisor, clone that template, and make everything happen. Okay? So that's the dream. Okay? As of today, I don't have that. Didn't have time to come up with all these fancy things on the script. But it will get there. And also there is some PowerShell stuff with the Microsoft RDS that is kind of odd. They document in a way on TechNet, and then you go somewhere else, it's something else. And then you don't know what is right until you try, and it either works or fails. And then you realize, okay, TechNet is wrong. So it's still trial and error. But we got to the point where it works, it's fast. I would say on a production hardware, decent servers, SAN, whatever, or fast storage, this will probably take you running 10 minutes, 10, 15 minutes at the most. So pretty good to have an environment up and running. And then it creates the collection, so it ties everything together, knows who is the connection broker, who is the license server, my session hosts, and even creates a remote app application in a folder. So after the script runs, you can actually go to the web access and say, oh, let me log on, enter your credentials, and you see an application published for you. So it takes care of everything. Oh, and the other thing I want to mention, are you guys familiar with the web access, the RSS feed on web access? Or yeah, so web access, you can, it's built in on Windows 7, Windows 8. You can go and basically point your machines to this RSS feed, just a website, like a URL. And then your PCs, they grab off the web access server which applications the user has available to his credentials, and then automatically populates the start menu or the whatever start screen is, that thing is called on Windows 8. What is the name of?
Atrocity.
Yes, okay. Yeah, Windows 8 thing that no one likes. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Exactly. Metro, yeah. Metro bullshit. That's what it is. So we were here. Yeah, so I'm gonna then connect. I have a Windows 8 VM as well, part of my domain. Then I'll enter the web access feed, and we should see, the applications being populated, if everything worked fine. And single sign-on works. So if you're on the domain, the user logs into his PC, he sees on his start menu application A, B, and C, he clicks, it passes the credentials, everything goes all the way to launching the application, so they don't get prompted by anything. So very similar to the Citrix, the receiver or program agent, it's exactly the same thing. Okay? Any questions here?
Did you pre-install apps on your code image on your tablet?
Well, yeah, like for the terminal servers, for sure. Well, the only question here becomes, when you enable the RDS, the session host role, it may bitch about the applications. Because, there is that shadow key thing, and it needs to track what is being done and so on. So for certain apps it may cause a problem, for other apps it may be just fine. So ideally you should then have a script to dump all the apps into the session hosts. What shouldn't be a big deal, you should automate regardless. So if you're automating your applications right now, just use the same thing and dump them into the terminal servers. Well, we can definitely do that, yes. It's possible to do it, yeah. I'm not doing as of today on the scripts, but is it possible? Yes. I will have single sign-on because my domain, my VMs joined the domain, and then I have a policy on the domain that takes care of the certificates, okay? But I will explain a couple of the snags that you may face with the single sign-on. That's part of the snags. Okay, any other question? No, all good? Okay. Okay, it's going crazy. Okay, let's do it. Let me switch here. So I just want to make sure you see this first. So see I'm not lying. So this is my ESX box. It's a Mac Mini. I have it's a i7 quad-core machine. We have 16 gigs of RAM. Here 16 gigs. And these are my VMs right now. So as it stands, as of today, right now, we have a plain connection broker. There is nothing installed. It's just off the template, like a plain server. They are all joined to the domain already. Then I have, my connection broker, my domain controller, a file server. I have my licensing server right here. I have a gateway. I have my session hosts right here. I have a Windows 8 workstation, part of the domain. I have my web access. Again, these are just plain boxes of the templates, nothing installed on them. Right now they just, are part of the domain, have an IP assigned, that's it, nothing else.
So that's good that because you're just fixing existing servers that are only connected and puts our desk descriptive and also follows those servers.
That's correct. That's it. And it will be there by July. Okay? I'm not going to promise that I will be able to do for all hypervisors because, I have a life, so. But if I didn't have a life, yes, then I could potentially do it. So the one that I'll probably tackle first, it will be, ESX, just because I have an ESX box up and running. So for me, it's just easier to test with ESX. Plus, there is more documentation as far as I, am aware of for the ESX. So, if you ask for Xen Server, I can tell you right now, I'm not gonna ever touch Xen Server. So if you are doing Xen Server, screw you. Okay? Hyper-V, maybe. Yeah. I first do the most stable hypervisor, ESX. Then I go the second one, Fusion. Then third one, Parallels. Then Hyper-V. Then DOS. Then Xen Server. Okay. Yeah, Xen Server. I don't like Xen Server that much. Any Xen Servers like fanboys here? Yeah, no one. Yeah, no one is really a Xen Server fanboy. I don't know why. And it's funny, I was reading like 2 weeks ago, I think it was. One of the guys, the Citrix guys, posted on Twitter that he really found a great way to deploy Dell firmware from the Xen Server down 0 on his Dell servers. And I'm like, man, Xen Server is not stable running Xen Server, and you are trying to update the firmware? That's a great idea, if you want to screw yourself really hard, yeah. Integrate the firmware of your Xen Server from the Xen Server. Yeah, nice idea. So yes, I had my issues with Xen Server. That's why I don't use Xen Server. But you can always switch to ESX, so that's fine. let's see. I should be able to resize this. Well, whatever. On the Mac, I'm using iTap. It's the only one that works. That works half-ass. Doesn't work full, but it's better than all the crap that is out there. Okay, so let's take a look here. So the name of the script is RDS Magic, because it is magical. After you see it running, you're gonna say, man, this is really good. That's what my wife told me. Of course, she doesn't know shit about terminal server. So just make sure your machines are up and running, because if you try to run PowerShell on a machine that is not running, it's not gonna run. And I found out that this morning. I was double checking my script and then it was failing and I'm like, why is it failing now? And then I realized, oh, you need to power on the VMs. Okay. Then after I did that, yeah, it started working again. So going back here. Man, this is like, exactly, this is V01 of the scripts. You are pushing. Yeah, maybe after my trip I will start, yeah, let's check if the VM is up and running. Yeah, later. I usually don't do any error checking on anything I write. I assume everything is good. Okay? So make sure you assume the same. Then it's gonna work beautifully. Yes. Well, it works, man. Why should I error check if I know it's gonna work, right?
It either works or it doesn't.
That's it. It's easy. Yeah. Probably today half of the code on any application is just doing error checking. That's why .NET framework is like 1 terabyte, because half is error checking. I don't need that. Okay, let's press enter and see what the hell happens.
There's a lot of people that can't trust this script.
Oh, you can call Gabe if anything goes wrong with the script, because he will have a copy. He knows how to troubleshoot it. And of course, I'll show you the script. So something should start happening here pretty soon. And of course, while it happens, we can talk about a couple things here. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So just to mention a couple snags that you're gonna find here. The first one, or the main one, is probably with certificates. If you are familiar with Citrix or any other solution, vWorkspace, 2X, whatever it is, they need certificates for, like, let's say your web access, or for your NetScaler, something that is doing the HTTPS proxying. So that makes sense to require a certificate. The problem with RDS, and not only 2012 but 2008 was very similar. Microsoft decided to use certificates for everything. So anything that is RDS, oh, you need a certificate. So you're publishing an application to the user, you want to give like Notepad, oh, you need a certificate. Like, why do I need a certificate? So I don't know the answer for that, and Microsoft doesn't seem to know the answer either. So that's where the problem starts. You need several certificates for every single thing. And then they said, no, we are simplifying on 2012, so you don't need to, deal with certificates on the terminal servers themselves. What is, partially true, but then they just moved the problem somewhere else. That is your connection broker. So the issue is still there. And what happens, for example, on the connection broker? If you do a single connection broker, no matter what, it will always connect to the machine FQDN. So if it's a whatever connection broker dot your domain dot local, you will always connect to that thing with a self-signed certificate. And even if you take the thumbprint of the certificate and you try to apply that to the workstation using a group policy or local policy, whatever, so it trusts the certificate, it doesn't take it. So the only way to fix that with a single server is to actually set up the whole thing as two servers, as an AJ pair, and use a proper FQDN with the certificate, assign it to the proper FQDN. Then it works. So why they did that, I have no idea. It's just a pain in the butt. And the other thing is, again, everything that has a certificate, you need to get the thumbprint of the certificate. I'll show you the hash of the certificate, and dump into the policy, and make sure the domain machines get that. If it's not a domain machine, a local policy will do it. Okay, just a registry change and boom, then it works. 2012 got a little bit better than 2008. 2008 we still had to not only deal with the certificates, but then change other things in the registry to make sure the single sign-on would work all the way, like from user logging into his PC and seeing the application. With 2012, now the only thing really is to take care of the certificate, to make sure the machines, they trust the publisher. Okay? So again, it's a major pain in the ass with the certificates, and it's a pain in the ass, and it's dumb, and it's also dumb but a pain in the ass. Okay? And it was funny because last year I was presenting at BriForum again in Chicago. There are more dumb things with RDS than only the certificates. The gateway is a little bit dumb as well. It's like, man, it's crazy shit. Like if you want to configure the whole thing and you start doing access policies and all that, like I tell them I don't need that. The only thing most people care is, can it tunnel RDP over HTTPS? That's all we care. The authentication will be taken care of by whatever, two-factor authentication before, your web credentials, whatever. I don't care the gateway doing all these fancy things. So I was giving this presentation about the gateway, and I told, the audience, the gateway is dumb, and I hope the developer that developed this dies, And then I finish my presentation, a guy comes up on stage, "Hi Claudio, I'm the RDS gateway developer." And I'm like, okay, let's beat him right now. So we almost, killed him on stage, but he survived. So yeah, it was terrible. No, right? Connection broker, that's it. And your web access. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's actually 4 you're going to see on the deployment, but it's because the connection broker takes 2. They can be the same, but you have to set up in 2 different places. But it's 3 certificates will do it. Yeah.
Now you need 2 connection because it's a single.
Exactly. Yes.
Not the case in
Yeah. can be a single point of failure for other things, like the web access, if you are relying on the feed and so on. So really you should make sure you deploy multiple connection brokers, multiple licensing servers, multiple web access servers, just to cover, And then with the connection broker, now when you enable AJ, it requires a SQL backend. And then of course you have to have something on your SQL side to make sure SQL can stand a failure, okay? And I have seen places saying, oh no, we run our SQL server on whatever hypervisor, and then we have a cluster, so if it fails here, it shows up on the other node. Well, yes, but if something gets corrupted at the OS level, whatever, well, guess what? It's not going to show up on the other node up and running. If shit happens here, you just carry shit over to the other node, so you can still be in trouble. So just keep that in mind for your SQL redundancy, whatever you use. So as I said, there is a policy for the thumbprint that we are going to take a look. I'll show you where that is. And pay attention to the FQDNs. So ideally, in my case, regardless of being like an internal or external or both, usually it's both, like people will connect internally and they will go home and connect externally. I usually configure things in a way that I use the same FQDN regardless of being internal or external. So it doesn't matter where I am, where I bring my laptop, whatever, or how I teach users, they always reach the same name, okay? So it makes things much easier and you guarantee it will work. So let's go back here and see what the hell is going on. If everything works. Okay, so right now we can see it finished the web access, it finished the connection broker, it finished the first session host. And if you are wondering why the names are CRFB, it's because of my work with Freak, another terminal server RDS MVP. So we are trying, my fault, to release our RDS book. Okay, it's finished. The problem now is formatting with several different vendors and Apple, and you don't want to get into that. But it will be out pretty soon. Hopefully, when I get back, I'll release the book to the public. So now the script will basically take care of adding the second session host. Then we'll take care of the licensing. And then that's it. Publishing an app. And then we should be able to go back to the workstation and boom, log on to the environment and get the application launched. So now let's go back here. I want to show you the certificate stuff. Okay, here it is. This is my, well, I have a domain policy. We can go back to the domain controller. I think I set it up here. Okay, here it is. And of course it reboots the servers like as needed. Okay, so here just as an example, I think I changed the default domain policy. Yeah. Let's check. Then I'll show you on the certificate where it is. So if you go to, let's say, computer configuration, I think it's under admin templates, Windows components. Yeah, it's here. Then there's an RDS. Let's go to R. Yeah, remote desktop connection client. Yeah, here. This is the policy. So that's the one thing now that you have to change and get the thumbprint for the certificates that you are using and just add to the policy. Well, ideally for every, like, whatever that touches the RDS, just add all the thumbprints here. So yeah, now no. Yeah, now we do the connection broker. I dump the connection broker and the web access. And then you are fine. Okay, where the hell is the policy here? And you can, it's just comma separated. So here I just have one. That is probably my connection broker one. Then you can do, comma and then the Rds Web Certificate. And where you get this from? You get from here. Let's go full screen here. I think it's one. Yeah, okay. I have all my certificates on my file server, just to be able to access this from all the servers. So if we go here, so this is the one I'm using for the connection broker. So if we go view, I don't want to install, but well, here is just to show the certificate. You need to bring to the computer store, but just want to see it. Let's open. As well, yes. That's correct. I think it's under the user now, as we saw. So if we take a look here. Yeah, it's right here, the connection broker. So if we open, you just go here, then you scroll down, and that's what you need. Okay, so for all the certificates, just get that number, that hash, and boom, dump into the policy, and you're ready to roll. Exactly. That's correct. So it is simplified in a certain way, but again, it's still like, why do we need that many certificates? There is no reason, really. Especially when you look at what everyone else has been doing for the past, 5, 10 years. The way Citrix does, the way vWorkspace does, the way 2X does, They just went crazy and decided to make things very complicated. Okay, going back here. So now it created our collection name, call it RDS 2012 Hero. Just a description, collection for BriForum 2013. And then we're going to be able to go back to the connection broker, log on to the connection broker, launch server manager, make sure you have like a server group with all the servers there. That's one of the things that I was trying to find out using PowerShell. I couldn't find so far. Apparently, how to create a server group using PowerShell. Yeah, I couldn't find a way. A server group, you know when you launch Server Manager now, that it allows you to create a server group so you can manage these servers from the Server Manager? I couldn't find a way, and I took a look at all the PowerShell, the Server Manager specific commands. There is nothing there. So I have no idea how it's done. That's something I have to ask Microsoft and see what they say. Because then I will be able to take care of that on the script as well. So when you log on to the connection broker, everything is pre-populated and you'll see the deployment, you'll see the collection. Because right now what is going to happen is we're going to go to the session, to the connection broker, we're going to launch Server Manager, and it's actually going to find that we have a deployment and a collection. But then it bitches about, oh, you don't have these servers under your group. So it's just a matter, you go to the Server Manager and say, okay, create a group, select all the servers, add it to the group, close Server Manager, relaunch it, and then everything is there. So if I can find how to do programmatically, cool. Otherwise, it's just a little, really just a management thing. Just to add the service to the screen, that's all it is. So you're not touching anything on the back end. You know what I'm talking about? Or yeah? Yeah, it's like here. If we go to the domain controller and we launch Server Manager, the other thing that I found that I mentioned to Freak this morning, when you install the RDS, the session host role, even using the Microsoft Wizard or just the PowerShell command for that, it doesn't install the desktop experience. You know, the thing that makes RDS looks like Windows, whatever, Windows 8, Windows 7, has all the multimedia stuff. No, it doesn't install that by default. So the script takes care of that as well. Yeah, that's by bad design. That's what he meant. Right? Or you agree with Microsoft?
No, I have not.
Okay.
Saying it might not.
Yeah, I disagree. I don't agree with that. It's by design because they're lazy. So the server group, that's what I mentioned. Like you go here, and then you click create a server group, then you just select the servers on the domain, and that's it. And I know the PowerShell, I'll show to you, like I tried a couple things. I know I can pipe, for example, when I'm doing the RDS session host role. If you have a naming convention, and of course you should have one for your RDS session host service, mine is crfb-sh and then numbers. So you can pipe into the PowerShell something that queries AD for all the computer objects that are named whatever -sh something. And then, so if I have 10 session host servers, it grabs all 10 names and then passes to the PowerShell command, and then it installs session host on all 10 servers. So you can do that on the script. Okay, I tried, it works, of course, on this version that is running here that I know it works. It's not there. Okay. But I think I remarked the line, so you're going to see it. And actually, I can show. Yeah, here on the server manager, you would just add servers to your selection, and then boom, you would have a server group with all the servers. So we don't need this. Yeah, you see now the licensing is being added. The licensing is also a funny one, like I don't know to which extent all the licensing PowerShell commands still work. Maybe Freak knows the answer. But they changed a couple things. So now, you know, I'm adding the license here, but of course, as soon as you finish adding the licensing server is up and running, it's there, but it's not activated. So I'm assuming the old PowerShell for 2008 R2 still works with the 2012. Because then you can actually do the activation using PowerShell. You just need to assign like, I don't know if you did manually at one point, but probably you did. When you go through the wizard, it asks you your name, first name, last name, company name, whatever. Then you go next, and then it says how you want to activate automatically, so it tries the internet, whatever. The script accepts doing that, but it assumes that it's the same commands for 2008 R2. And that I'm not 100% sure. I tried a couple, they seemed to work, but as I didn't have internet access when I was running the activation portion, I'm not sure if it failed because I didn't have internet, and then of course it's gonna fail, because it can't activate over the internet, or if it failed because the command is deprecated or something like that. I don't expect it to be. Do you know, Freak? No? So let's take a look at the script. I added a bunch of things together here. So let's go back here. Okay, it fits. Okay, so it's not rocket science, okay? And I'll explain quickly. The first line does the session deployment. So basically what I'm passing is just what my servers are. So I have a connection broker, then the name of the server, then I have a web access server, name of the server, then I have a session host, name of the session host, in this case 2. Again, instead of passing like @ and then the 2 server names separated by a comma, you could run a like get ADC, you know, AD computer, and then you get everything with like a filter, like name or filter name, and then you know you get everything that it starts with whatever. So that's why you need a naming convention. So then you just pipe that into the command. The second line creates the actual collection name, my RDS 2012 hero, which servers are part of that, a description, who is my connection broker. Then I'm adding my licensing server. You can see here on the third line right here. And that's, well, there's this one as well, the configuration. I'm just telling the license server I want to use in per user or per device, whatever mode it is. And you have to pass like a force. That's one of the things that is not documented. When you go to TechNet, they don't show the force for the configuration, for the license server configuration for like per user and per device, but they show the force for other things on the licensing server. So I really didn't know if it was going to take it or not. But after I tried, it seemed to take. If you don't pass the force, then you are going to be actually prompted, just for confirmation. Like, oh, do you want to really use per user? Then whatever, you press enter, just to take the default, and then it continues. But I passed the force. Now it's it's not doing it anymore. Then next line, new remote desktop remote app. So in this case, I'm just passing an alias, the display name that I wanna, and then the path to the actual application. And if I should show the application on the web interface, on the web access. And then of course, which collection name it belongs to, and who is the connection broker. Here it gets interesting as well. You could potentially just get a text file that has all your application details, let's say application name, and then comma, application path, and pass that text file to the script. So it would be able to get all your applications and already published all of them in one shot. Okay? You just need the applications to be on the terminal server, but the publishing it would work right away. Then we do, for example, just as an example on the demo, when you publish applications, you can just publish the application, and when you log on to the web interface, you see the icons right there, but you may want to group the applications using folders. So one folder for Microsoft Office, one folder for admin tools, and so on. So you can do that by using this guy right here. So when you publish the application, you can create a second line that puts that particular application into a folder. So when you log on to the web access, you see all these nice, neat folders. Yes. Then the final thing that you can also do here, that I'm doing as an example, you can tie the local PC file type association to the remote application. So if I have my Windows 8 PCs and I want users, when they double click a .xls file, for example, to be associated with Microsoft Excel running on my terminal servers, I can do that on that line. So completely transparent. As soon as you do this, someone double clicks, like in my case, I did a file extension RTF. So if they do a rich text file, it launches WordPad on the terminal server. Okay, can be done right here on PowerShell. And this is the commands that I told you guys. You can use this get AD computer, filter name like something to get a list of computers. And then I'm just, well, this was improved, I changed it a little bit, but the idea is to install the desktop experience and reboot the servers. And this is where you do the licensing server stuff, as I mentioned. We go to the license server, then we do the configuration. I have to enter first name, last name, company name, and country region before I can activate the server. So as soon as I do that, next line, I just go and set the activation status parameter to 1. Connection method is automatic, so it goes out. The reason 5 there is 5 means it's a new activation. So then it will basically go out on the internet and activate your license server for you. Okay, so this basically takes care of the, pretty much the whole environment. Okay, so the script magically finished. And it's all done. As you can see, we published WordPad. And then we installed the desktop experience on both session hosts. And then we restarted the 2 servers. And that's it. And it's all up and running. Now let's see if it's actually restarting the service. The desktop experience sometimes takes like, you know, a couple minutes to go through the whole thing, install, and then restarts the box. So let me see where we stand right here. It's probably in the middle of the reboot. That's it. Okay, so how much time we still have? 10? Okay, we have 10 minutes. Okay, so live demo, you saw it. So applause. Okay, that's good. Okay, good. And now crazy applause. Yeah, I like that. Okay, so the snags, as I mentioned, we covered the certificates mainly and FQDNs. Now, how this whole thing compares to XenApp that you are probably asking yourself. First of all, a lot, and I mean really a lot, can be done with plain RDS, okay? So if all you require is the basics, like, oh, I need people to be able to connect from anywhere, I want to have the HTTPS protocol, and then they get access to individual applications, all single sign-on. Can it do it? Yes. Then the second thing, oh, I want to do, you know, all the fancy multimedia stuff. I want to have a decent performance with Flash, whatever it is. Can 2012 do it? Yes. Okay? And that leads us to another thing that I didn't mention on the snags. I don't know if you guys are the ones responsible for the network layer of your environment. Are you responsible for that? Yes? No? Or you don't know what a network layer is? Okay, good. Okay, so if you are, then you are the boss. You can do whatever you want. So that's good. If you are not, it means you have to deal with retarded people. And then when you have to deal with them, the problem is RDS 2012, for the optimal multimedia experience, it needs UDP. And when you mention UDP to networking people, they cry, okay? So that could potentially be a problem for you to justify, oh yes, you know that UDP port, yes, we need to open that. They may not like that, okay? I'm just telling you. So the RDP versus ICA, everyone, you know, okay, all good, RDS, crazy, fine. But now what? Is it as good as ICA? How does it perform? Well, the answer for that is you go talk to Sean Bass and Benny, not to me, okay? Well, but I can tell you that. It performs very well. It compares, you can see their presentation. They have a session when? Today, tomorrow?
Chicago's.
It was today?
Yeah.
With Sean and Benny?
Our comparison session is in Chicago.
Oh,
It's not
okay.
here.
Yeah, okay. Benny is the guy right there. Okay. So you have to go to Chicago. That's what he said. So if you go to Chicago, you're going to be able to see his session. But basically
You can
for...
watch the videos too. After Chicago's over, everybody can watch it.
Not that video.
You don't have to go. You can watch all the videos.
No, that video, they have to go. They have to
No,
go.
stop
I
trying
agree.
to sell them tickets.
Okay.
I'm trying to save money.
I'm trying to help you. You see what a bastard this game guy. Okay. So basically is for the regular, you know, most challenging stuff that you're gonna see, like high latency and packet loss and stuff like that, RDP8 on 2012 does perform very well. Okay, so if your concern is like, oh, it's not gonna be as good as Citrix, well, for most stuff, it's gonna be as good as Citrix. Okay, again, it will get down to what exactly you need. If you have something really fancy, oh no, I need to run an OpenGL version 4 dot whatever, well, then it may not work, okay? But again, how many people do that? Does anyone need OpenGL here? No, other than you, Benny. I mean normal people. You see, there is one guy there that is not normal. Are you from Germany too? Well, not saying anything, but I know some crazy Germans. And then what is lacking with RDS 2012? First of all, if you don't need Windows, like if you need known Windows clients, then you will have a problem, okay? If you want to use your iPad, whatever, well, it's not going to work. You can run iTap, yeah. iTap is like I crash sometimes, okay? Because it crashes on my Mac. Yeah, everything that starts with free is bad. So if you see free RDP, it means trouble RDP, okay? So I don't recommend that. But again, if you have a Windows environment, you are trying to connect Windows 7 PCs that are part of the domain Windows 8, yeah, works beautifully. Out of the box, there is no way out of the box to automate the server builds like Citrix has. So for example, with Citrix, you can have the provisioning server delivering a single image and all that goodness. Well, there is no such thing with RDS 2012. You need to find a way to do that. But again, if you are tying, for example, tying to the hypervisor here, you could have a template and then everything that we did will take care of deploying all the features, okay? Also, depending how you do your applications, it could be automated already because you have whatever, SCCM, whatever you want to use. But again, it's not as polished as Citrix. So you miss the flexibility seen with PVS. And of course, that kind of like, the question here is not like how many users you have. That's not the right question to decide between RDS and Citrix. I have worked with RDS environments that have like thousands of users, and it works. The question really gets down to how many servers you have at the end and what you are doing to manage the servers. Like how you patch. If a patch goes wrong, how you roll back and all that. If you have all that layer addressed, you can have like 10, 20, 50, 100, 1,000 terminal servers. It will work the same way as Citrix. And again, all this flexibility may not be a problem, again, depending on the number of servers and how you are managing the servers, the server build mainly, okay? And then just to show you an architectural comparison, this is just a XenApp diagram. So you have like PVS, you have all the SQL backend, and then the ZDCs, you know, controller mode, session only mode, and all that. So compared to the whole thing, RDS, even though we have some snags and now more infrastructure requirements, it's still simpler, I would say, than a full-blown Citrix environment. So now, conclusion. It's very solid platform. Again, best RDP performance to date by far. If you are on 2008 R2 and you can move to 2012, do it. Very close to Citrix. It is complex, but Microsoft is trying to hide all that complexity under the rug, and that's what the script also tries to do. So if you run the script, you have the environment up and running, and you don't even know what is, you know, under the hood, really. And it is scalable and manageable. Gets down to, again, how you take care of server build and applications. If you have a proper mechanism, again, doesn't matter if I have 1 or 100 servers, it will work if it's properly taken care of. So full automation is a must, okay? And again, it's a home run goal for RDS 2012. So it's approved by me. Now I just want to show you quickly before we are kicked out. Where's the Windows 8? Okay, here. Now the only problem is, as I said, the certificates, as of today, the script doesn't take care of assigning the certificates. So we would have to go like to the web access and say use this certificate, you know, go into IIS under bindings and select the proper certificate. But we'll get there. So if we go here, and it's funny, the full screen goes on the other monitor. You see, that's a VMware bug. Control enter. I'm just trying to get the full screen out of the way. Okay, so here it is. So this is the certificate that I used. Of course, I didn't import into web access, so it will probably complain about the certificate. See if the web access is there. Yeah, okay. So continue. Yeah, when you have all the certificates, everything sorted out, it's just boom, flies all the way. And then you see the log on screen for the remote apps. You just type the credentials, enter, boom, done. So as I said, the script created a folder called Basic Tools. So if we click on the folder, then we see the application that we published. So again, if you pass a list of apps, you can have all these all done for you, like in one shot. Then again, the certificates, I didn't add them. So we go connect. It should work, okay. And as I said, if you take care of all the certificates, as soon as they enter the credentials here, it goes all the way. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So we're gonna, yeah, if you add all the certificates and take care of the policies, everything goes all the way. And if you go to control panel, I'll just show it's connecting. What? Yeah. Okay. Well, basically, if you go to control panel, there is a remote applications item. You can just add the RSS feed. It even gives you an example of the feed, how it has to be. You populate, and then it will get into the start menu of the user or the Windows 8 start screen. Then you see all the apps. Okay? One final question.
How does Windows 7 RDP perform compared to Windows 8 RDP, Windows 2012 RDS card?
How RDP 7 compares to RDP 8? Again, we need to watch Benny's session or video, but basically is if you have challenging WAN connectivity, then RDP8 is 10 times better. And if you need all the multimedia stuff to work properly, RDP8 is the only one that can basically deliver it. That's it. Okay, guys? Well, thanks for coming. Any questions, just email me, okay? Or if you see me around, you just come and we can chat. Thank you.